Mummy Creasy. Robert Courts.
Mr. Speaker, it's a pleasure to speak in this very important debate because, of course, our trading arrangements are of great importance to constituencies and country alike. But I do think it's critical that we should approach this matter in the spirit of the kind of country that we want to be and the opportunities that we wish to seize. And what I want this country to be is one that has the freedom to seize the opportunities, rather than one that is tied as closely as possible to the EU, simply because it is afraid of the future. It's critical to understand when we discuss this matter, and it has been raised by others on all sides, as to exactly what a customs union is. There's often a conflation, both in this debate and indeed in the wording of the motion, Mr. Speaker, between what it is and what a free trade area is. And the two things are often lumped together, but they do operate, in fact, differently. A free trade area achieves reduced or zero tariffs on trade between its members. It's possible to have free trade from within the EU from outside the customs union, as Norway and Switzerland do. Now, the motion suggests that being within the or a customs union automatically includes frictionless trade between the UK and the EU and solves the Irish border issue. But it does not automatically do that. The key to enabling frictionless trade and solving the Irish border issue is a comprehensive free trade agreement that eliminates tariffs with mutual recognition of standards and the use of new technologies. Mr. Speaker, this is exactly what the government's policy is intended to achieve. Now, my view is that to leave the European Union but to remain in the customs union would simply be the worst of all worlds. And I say that for this reason. Because it would mean surrendering, subject of course to whatever agreement is subsequently agreed, it would mean surrendering 100% of our trade policy to Brussels, but with 0% say on what that policy is. We'd have less say than we have now. Now, Mr. Speaker, I simply do not see how that is compatible with the result of the referendum, however you voted, and I do not see how it is compatible with this country's best interests. Now, when we look at the effect of the customs union, my suggestion is that we can do much better outside it than we can within it. Britain, which is by nature and instinct a globally trading nation, has always been disproportionately penalised by membership of the customs union. For most of our membership, we are the only state, or one of only two, to export more outside the EU than to it. And that phased application of the common external tariff in the 1970s hit British consumers and Commonwealth exporters badly. And whilst, yes, there have been improvements, our trade remains distorted. The EU currently has no free trade agreement with the world's largest economy, the USA, nor with rising giants like India, nor with long-standing British allies like Australia. And where there are free trade agreements in place, they are often limited in scope. Now, in the last 30 seconds or so that are allowed to me, I'd like just to briefly look at Turkey. That is, I know that there's an issue as to what agreement is involved, but what Turkey is required to do is to apply EU product standards to its domestic economy, to accept the ECJ in those areas, and has no say in the EU's trade negotiations with third countries. And when the EU signs free trade agreements with third countries, Turkey must allow full access to its internal market with no guarantee of reciprocal. Mr. Speaker, I do not see how that is a model that we should be seeking to emulate in this country.